Ranking Member Meeks for 5 minutes.
Thank you. Ms. Stroul, let me just go to you first. Thank you for your service to our country. You know, I said in my opening remarks that there's more to be done to try to bring Iran and the U.S. To the table to negotiate the core issues of concern here, which is Iran's nuclear program, because of that tough environment. But I also believe that, you know, when I look at it thus far, Iran's response has been that they reject direct talks with the United States, but has left the door open to multilateral diplomacy. And what was important for me at the time of negotiating the JCPOA was that it was a multilateral agreement. There was things that were going on and negotiated that our allies wanted. That's how we got the agreement, because we figured it wouldn't be just us by ourselves. So as Mr. Rule just said, getting them in so that we could box Iran in, because it's not just the United States, it's the United States and our allies, well, which I think is important. And then also, I think some credibility has been gone from the United States when we unilaterally pulled out and the other allies stayed in and wanted to work something together. So there's a lack of trust that then develops, you know, in that regards on both sides. So how do you think we could build some confidence with our adversary, Iran, so that we can begin negotiations? And how do we bring back a diplomatic track with our allies? So we're not by ourselves. I think Mr. Rule just talked about how significant and important that is. How do you think that we can do that?
Thank you so much for this question. I couldn't agree with you more that we have seen in the past, Iran has been willing to negotiate when it feels diplomatic isolation coupled with economic pressure and the threat of military force. Right now, we have tremendous sanctions pressure, and I believe there is a credible threat of military force on the table, and there is a unilateral offer to negotiate from President Trump, but what is missing is this multilateral element. So first of all, there is an eagerness in some of our previous partners from the P5+1, specifically in Europe, to begin coordinating with Washington as soon as possible ahead of this deadline in October later this year, when the remaining restrictions on Iran's nuclear program expire. Our European allies, and they are still our allies, are very interested in aligning with us in order to have a unified front approaching Iran. Secondly, we have been using and relying on partners in the Middle East to pass messages to Iran and receive messages from Iran, and I think that's very important. But our partners in the Middle East also need to have confidence that if the Iranians lash out and threaten them or use military force against them, like we saw in the 2015 Abqaiq situation, that Washington is going to have their back and be willing to put security guarantees on the table and support their defense, just as the United States has done for Israel in supporting its defense. So one is clarifying our commitment to our partners' defense. Two is making a meaningful and genuine effort to include them and consult with them on these talks. That will also strengthen any negotiation on the other side.
Thank you. And I address this to you again, Ms. Stroul, and Mr. Rule. You know, hopefully we'll have time to hit both of you. You know, could you maybe tell us about the challenges that it would be in setting back the Iranian nuclear program militarily? You know, what would there be any challenges? Are there challenges there? Mr. Rule, Ms. Stroul?
I'll try to do 20 seconds and hand it over to Mr. Rule. So the greatest challenge is that you cannot bomb away knowledge. Iran has mastered the cycle of nuclear fuel enrichment, and we know, based on intelligence community reporting in an unclassified manner, that they are undertaking the activities to position themselves to go across the threshold and weaponize should the Supreme Leader make the decision to do so. So we are at a perilous moment. Their nuclear program is geographically diverse. Some of it is above ground, some of it is buried deeply underground. This means it's not a one-night military campaign. We are talking about a serious campaign to set back a program in order to then buy time to negotiate or figure out what steps would happen on the other side of military action. It's a serious piece of business.
I think my time has expired.
Thank you to the ranking member. I now recognize for 5 minutes the gentleman from South Carolina.